Friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, 5th 7 video, August 11, 2011. Friends, we are helping with a lot of activity Arcturians, and some of our spacecraft are supporting the fleet Pleiadians, completing other measures at strategic points. Maybe I can appear less frequently, but will always be on hand to keep you informed about the events. Everything in the universe is very dynamic. A small variable can significantly alter the result of an equation. I hope you can be sure within yourself that there are many brothers cheering for this new society, and donating time and effort so that your blue planet enters a new climate of peace and development. Whenever you see a hovering spaceship, rest assured that they are friends, who may soon be in direct contact with you. Question: Mythy, some partners ask, you can tell how is the movement of intruders in the solar system today? Well, as you know, the nucleus called Elenin, Blue Kashina, is already very close to the Sun. His coma gathered enough material from the asteroid belt, and that the diameter increased to 180,000 kilometers. The active comet's coma increased to 120,000 kilometers to have added a lot of material in the passage through the asteroid belt. The rest are gas and steam. See, the larger pieces and large meteoroids come from the core in 56,000 kilometers. The micrometeor rocks up to 2 inches form a dense layer between 56,000 and 90,000 kilometers. Sand and dust form the layer from 90,000 to 120,000. The rest of the coma can vary widely, but will be only gases and steam. The satellites that would be subject to this rain of particles at high speed will be literally destroyed. Some of the larger meteors can be attracted by the vector resulting from the gravitational pull of the Earth and Moon. The possibility of a celestial body overcomes the atmospheric drag and reaches the surface of the planet is directly proportional to its mass density. A meteor large but low density will burn completely in pieces and disintegrate in the atmosphere, but a meteor of high mineral density will burn its superficial layers and reach the surface almost intact, causing a massive shockwave. Several spacecraft will be on the lookout for trying to interfere in cases of shock with great danger of mass extinction. If you see lights flash in your upper atmosphere, they may be caused by spacecrafts destroying the large meteors with energy beam. Given the instability of the gravitational system, in this passage and alignments, depending on the resulting gravitational force, inversely proportional to the distance of the passage, large earthquakes may happen with 70% probability. In the other 30% of probability, may happen generalized tremors, landslides, and increased volcanic activity, inevitably in Japan, and several regions already extremely vulnerable. This whole mass will start the redirection of solar flares ever more toward the Earth, since the end of September until mid-December. The high solar radiation can be avoided with the protecting shadow of clay tiles, or slabs of a top floor. There is no need to flee to caves or underground if you take the precaution of not getting out on the sun, for the incidence of these solar flares. Depending on your geographical position on the planet, it can be seen today, with ordinary telescopes near the Sun, as well as the dwarf star, Red Kashina, is visible near the orbit of Jupiter. In early September, there may be seen with the naked eye. The dwarf star, Red Kashina, it could accelerate in a logarithmic scale, in the region of the ecliptic between the orbits of Jupiter and the Sun, after crossing the asteroid belt. It should accelerate soon, if the community Galactica does not interfere more with the little solar system of dwarf star. The major effects that the passage of the dwarf star will cause the planet will be a major attraction over the oceans. In addition to realigning unstable tectonic plates, the tide will raise in its gravitational tangency, with an average height of 300 meters. In the worst case, if the acceleration of the system extends the summit of its ecliptic, and that makes it even closer to the planet, the height of the tidal wave may be up to 800 meters in a few moments, all depending on the position of the moon in this context. As a third effect, if volcanism excessively increases the amount of ash in the atmosphere, that may decrease the effects of solar radiation, but, in return, will decrease by up to 25 degrees centigrade average temperature of the planet. In some places, far from the equator, the temperatures may fall to extremely low levels. This could have serious consequences for communities that are likely remaining without power. Therefore, the best place to be is where you can count on trees or forests that could supply material for heating during this period. The cities will be death traps, and will be the target of militia imprisonment, on sites maintained by governments for triage. The fourth effect is the repositioning of the angle of the axis of rotation of the planet, with respect to the axis of the Sun, which will cause a consequent change of position of the geographic poles, combined with the change of the magnetic poles, by the passage of the solar system for the hemisphere south, or crossing the galactic equator. With these effects, the length of day can reduced from 24 hours to 18, or can be extended for up to 30 hours. That depends on more than 20 variables interacting with each other, so it isn't possible to predict at this time. Question: Dylan asks, at some point you say, and I quote, "The cultures that gave their genes to develop here have no responsibility for their seeds. They were not abandoned, were planted." Well, as you know, after a farmer plants his seeds, he must take care of them until they produce fruits, right? Dylan, a comparison with the seeds did not maybe have been the wiser. Imagine that fish were released into the ocean. The difference between humanoids, with intelligence and free will with seeds and fish, are just those primary qualities. For this reason, the sower does not need to be taking care of the seeds. They have to develop on their own. When the humanoids were introduced as a colony on the planet, have been frequently visited by emissaries bringing teachings, or guidelines, water to their seeds, to promote the growth of an entire culture. The final result depends on the intellectual quality the seed will develop by itself. Question: Heinz asks, when this planet, Tiamat, up to level 1 at the end of 2012, which happens to Mars? Continue at the 0 or rise to along with all our solar system? The elite seeks refuge on Mars. What will happen to them in 2012, and his friends reptilians and greys? You explain that his reign, the elite, on Earth will end. And Mars? Heinz, planet Earth is being promoted. It is the only planet in your solar system to reach the level 1. The planet Mars will now form its own frequency range, making it habitable. Depending on the type of society that will form there, is the initial frequency of the planet. Possibly Mars should continue in colonial level for a long time. Harmony is the highest frequency stabilizer. Depends directly on the society in question. The Earth has a percentage of the population of Earthlings, who practically saved the planet up to this grid. Maybe so, you spotting the need and reason for the cosmic cleanup, there will be now. Question, Mithy, you say that humans were initially brought here from other locations to colonize Earth, and if I got it right, not all humans came from the same locations. Meaning that humans didn't originate on planet Earth, right? But in such case, how to explain that comparing DNA tests from many thousands of humans from all around the world, either from Africans, or Europeans, or Asian, etc., the results show that we all share the same DNA, hence, the same origins? Also, how is it that the difference between human DNA and chimpanzees' DNA is so close? Dylan, Earth humans actually came from different parts of the universe. These experiences began here for over 190,000 years, with many regional experimental colonies. But you see, all of your kind humanoid had a single origin. As an example, you have many types of oranges. All are orange, but, depending on the type, with tastes and looks different. These variations were what happened with humanoid DNA, to adapt to different contexts of habitability. Primates are very similar to the humanoids, because that was the concept of the physical body adopted when the first humanoids have been developed, to receive the seed of the individual soul. If you examine your lower primates pulling all hair, some of them are very similar to the greys, who are also developed strains of these mammals. For this reason, there is a saying in your culture that says, man was created in the image and likeness of God. This God was the God scientist who chose this kind of humanoid body from the start of this process, over billions of years ago. Not only the body of humanoid primates was used, were sewn in the bodies of marine mammals, reptiles and insects, all on a trial basis, to see what kind of body would adapt better to become more viable in the third dimension. To our luck, it seems that humanoid became the most viable in the universe, and we want to maintain its hegemony by multiplying colonies, like yours, throughout the universe. This scientist was only the energy of the fourth dimension, and in the fourth dimension, the energy does not multiply like the third. The only way to increase the number of beings in the fourth dimension is sown individual energy seed in bodies of the third dimension that can literally multiply. This is the true meaning of the saying in your existing culture, grow and multiply. The third dimension is the sowing of the fourth dimension, and was created from the top down. Got it now? But it is difficult to deepen an understanding with you, because has no practical utility in your level of development. You still have much time to worry about steps so far. Thanks for watching. Join our channel. You are welcome there.